Yo, peace was good. Welcome to another hip hop album review. This is part 155. The album that I will be reviewing tonight is Snoop Dogg's debut album, Doggystyle, released in 1993. I know you guys been wanting me to do this for a minute. I know for the past couple years y'all been asking me to do it. So it's finally here. You know what I mean? I'll be recording some classic notable albums, so definitely stay tuned for that. Alright, just give you guys a heads up on that. But for those who don't know who Snoop Dogg is, he's an MC out of Long Beach, California, which is in LA. He got to start back in the late 80s, early 90s with a group called 213. 213 is the area code for Long Beach, California. Alright. He got his with the 213 group, which consists of 3 members, which was Snoop Dogg himself, obviously, Warren G, Dr. Dre's stepbrother, and notable rap artist and MC and producer as well, and the late great Nate Dogg. What am I? Man, I miss that dude, man. I really miss that dude. But anyways, getting back to the review, they did a whole bunch of demos and stuff like that. So the demos, were given to Dr. Dre. He liked what he heard, and then he took a liking to Snoop Dogg to the point where he invited him to Snoop Dogg's first placement on Wax, which was Deep Cover, which they recorded for the Deep Cover soundtrack. Dope soundtrack, dope movie too. I've mentioned that movie in when I did the MCA We Come Strack album review. I mentioned that he used that in the skit, and then because of that is what really, like, people really was like, yo, who the hell is this guy Snoop? And and then because of that, it got him more notice. People started knowing about him, and then you start seeing more of him on his Chronic album, which I did a review out. Definitely check that out when you guys get a chance. He's did songs like Niggas Bitches Ain't Shit, Nothing But a G Thing, Dre Day, bunch of other tracks he did. Little Ghetto Boy, a bunch of other joints I can't remember on the top of my head. And then fast forward to 1993. They started recording this album around January of 1993. Then they ended it, I believe, in the fall of 1993. And then this is when the album came out. Alright, so what the album looks like. This is what the album looks like. See Snoop Dogg right here, young Snoop Dogg. Probably like around 91, 92 is when he had the Jerry curls and stuff like that. Probably earlier than that. So pretty cool. As you can see right here, you see Snoop Dogg just chilling, kind of have that like prison look to him, you know what I mean? Snoop Dogg right here, pretty dope. Alright, open it up. Alright, this was Snoop Dogg right here, featuring Rat-a-tat-tat. I would show you the rest, but it's kind of X-rated, and not to the point where like you can see like her pussy or anything like that, or titties, but it's like YouTube, they're very sensitive and shit like that. So they'll flag anybody for everything. So I don't want to show you guys that. But there's 3 singles off the album. The singles are Gin and Juice, which I believe was the second single. Who Am I? What's My Name, which is the first single, and Doggy Dog World, which was the third and last single. Alright. Production's done by Dr. Dre. But with that too, there's some controversy because there was some stuff that supposedly Daz of Dog Pound had did. Like he did songs like Ain't No Fun, which I could believe that. They said he did like Murder Was the Case, which I don't believe. I don't believe that because and the reason why I say that is because when you listen to Daz's earlier stuff, like his stuff that he did with Dog Pound from the 90s, it sounds nothing like from Doggystyle. So that's why I'm saying. And it was the same thing too. People said that, and he also claimed he did beats for off the Chronic album, which I don't believe either. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let me turn it down. All right. Sorry about that. Track 1 is the intro. Is it's called Bathtub. Um, it starts off with Snoop Dogg and his girl. They're like in a bathtub, just just enjoying, having a romantic moment and whatever. But then that ends when his boy, I guess his name is G Dog, who he's ringing the doorbell and shit like that. So Snoop Dogg gets dressed up. They go, who the fuck is knocking on my door? So it's his man's. So this man's like, yo, we gotta make this money, man. We gotta put in some work and shit like that. And Snoop Dogg's like, yo, I want to get out. Like, it's not my thing no more. Like, I'm just tired of the cops fucking with me, and I'm tired of like having beef with niggas and shit like that. I just want to live in peace with my girl and things like that. Just have a normal life. And his boy's like, yo, what do you mean, yo? Like, we living a life, yo. Like, you have the nice fat house, nice big screen TV. You want to leave that? You want to leave all of this and stuff like that? And then that's pretty much like the end of this intro. So that, like I said, it's the intro. You hear like the nice Curtis Mayfield, rest in peace. You hear the Curtis Mayfield in the background from the Superfly soundtrack and stuff like that. Pretty cool. Alright. Then it starts with track 2. This is the G-Funk intro. Pretty dope. Sets the tone of the album, in my opinion. Has a nice dope bass line, deep bass line. Pretty dope. It features Dr. Dre and Lady of Rage. My thing with that song, it felt more like a Lady of Rage solo track more so than a Snoop Dogg track. I felt like even though she was featured on the Chronic, but I felt like this was like more like an introduction to Lady of Rage. It's like what really got her out there. You know what I mean? It's like really what put her out there in my opinion. You know what I mean? But that felt more like a Lady of Rage solo track. That's just my opinion. And then you got track 3, Gin and Juice. That's the second single off the album. Pretty cool. Definitely has like that really classic party track. It's like one of them joints that, like, if you have like a party or whatever, a house party, like a 90s themed house party, that's definitely a dope way to start to start a party or some shit like that, or like in the middle of stuff like that. Definitely a dope way to play to that if you're a DJ. Love the video for it too. It's just like Snoop Dogg, he's with his people's house. His people's leave for the day. You know what I mean? And he calls up all his peoples and shit like that, all his boys and girls, whatever. And then everybody's having a house party at his crib, and everybody's just going amok. It's just everybody's having a good time, man. So, and with that song, it definitely like carries that. It just carries that vibe to it. That's what I like about that. Then you got track 4, the Shiznit. It starts off with a skit where you got this dude, like a radio personality. He's a radio DJ of this fictional radio station called W Balls and stuff like that. And then it's just like, oh man, that shit is funny. But he's just pretty much introducing the song The Shiznits, and that shit is just so ill, man. That's such a dope track right there. And I like the dark. I like the kind of the synths, like the string synths in the background, the deep dark bass line that it has in it with the sleigh bells and shit like that's pretty dope, man. This is a pretty dope track right there. And I like the flute that Dr. Dre added to the song. That was pretty cool. That's the Shiznit. That's just pretty much like a braggadocio track. Pretty dope right there. Track 5, Lottie Dottie, featuring Nancy Fletcher. That's pretty much like a cover song of Slick Rick's Lottie Dottie, but it was kind of like his homage to Slick Rick. But it's a good song, but it's not the best track. It's like one of the weaker tracks in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. But it's a cool track. It's not the best track in the world. It's pretty much when you hear a lot of people talk about Doggystyle, it's one of the songs that a lot of people pretty much kind of skip over in a sense. So you don't really hear too many people talk about Lottie Dottie. But then you go on to this next track called Murder Was the Case. Pretty dope song right there. It's one of my all-time favorite songs. I prefer this version over the remix version that's on the Murder Was the Case soundtrack that came out in '94. The one on the soundtrack is the remix. This is the original version. I like the beat for this a lot better But the song starts off where you guys, these gang members. What song is this? Sorry about that. Yeah, so like I was saying before, so you got these gang members, they just smoking, talking and shit, whatever, until they see Snoop Dogg. He's a rival gang member, so of them. So I'm assuming they're bloods, whatever. So they see Snoop and they ask him like, "Yo, you Snoop Dogg?" And he responds like, "Yo, who wants to know?" Type of shit like that. They end up shooting him and things like that. And he kind of walks you through the process, like after the shooting, like the hospital. Excuse me, the hospitals. Trying to like trying to get him, trying to revive him and things like that. He's in the hospital. He's in a coma. He just talks about that experience. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like a nice, dope storyline. Just love that beat, man. That beat is just so ill, man. It just has like the way the church bells, the way Dr. Dre added the church bells into it. Um, just the dark organs. Yo, it's everything about that song is ill. By far, probably one of my favorite tracks off the album. By far. But like I said, I prefer this version over the remix version that's on the soundtrack. But that's just my opinion. All right. Then you got track 7, Serial Killer. It's a posse cut featuring D.O.C, RBX, and the Dog Pound, which consists of 2 members, which is Daz Dillinger and Corrupt. Right. Pretty dope joint right there. Just like how it starts, 6 million ways to die. Choose one. Uses that reggae sample and stuff like that, and then it's just so dope, man. That song, it sounds like something that you would hear on like Menace to Society. Like I can see that being played on Menace to Society. It just sounds like something that would fit on that movie right there. But pretty dope track right there. Yeah, man, it's a dope posse cut. They all do their thing. You know what I mean? Even though I'm not a big Dog Pound fan like that. I'm not a fan of Daz or Corrupt, but they both do their thing though, But it is what it is. Then track 8, you got Who Am I? What's My Name? That's the first single of the album. Pretty dope right there. In this song, he kind of like shows off his flow that he's known for. He really displays the flow that he has, that rat-a-tat-tat flow kind of flow. Just telling people like who he is as a person and shit like that. It's a braggadocious track, you know what I mean? Matter of fact, that song was actually my introduction to Snoop Dogg. That was the first song that I've heard from Snoop Dogg back in '93, and it's what introduced me to Snoop Dogg. So, but that's Who Am I? That was the first single of the album. Alright, that's track 8. Track 9, For All My Niggas and Bitches. That's a posse cut that features the Dog Pound and Lady of Rage. That song was okay. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't like the beat. It was an okay track, but the lyrics, kind of saved the beat. Saved the song in my opinion. But it's not a bad song, but it's just not my favorite. I thought the beat could have been a little bit better. In my opinion, it was kind of light in the sense, but it is what it is. But it does serve its purpose within the album and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right. Then you got track 10, Ain't No Fun If The Homies Can't Have None, which is another posse cut, which features Nate Dogg, rest in peace to Nate Dogg, Warren G, and Corrupt of Dog Pound fame. Pretty dope track. It's just pretty much just about, just having a boys' night out, just him and the boys just hanging out. And just doing what niggas do, man. Just like go out, try to look for some girls, have a little drink on, whatever. If you smoke, have a little smoke on, but bring the shorties into the mix, you know what I mean? Bring some shorties into the cipher, you know what I mean? So I thought that's a pretty dope song. I really like that song right there. To me, that song felt more like a Nate Dogg song, more so than a Snoop Dogg track. If Nate Dogg did a solo song if it was just a Nate Dogg solo track, it would have been so ill. That would have been an ill single. It wasn't a single, but it played as a single. Like the radios liked it so much that they actually played it as if it was a single. So that was pretty cool right there. That's track 10. Track 11, Doggy Dog World featuring the Dog Pound and the Dramatics. The Dramatics, old school 70 R&B soul band from the 70s. I think they're from like Detroit. I got a couple of their records. Pretty dope joint right there. Another kind of like a laid back party vibe to it. It kind of remind me of Gin and Juice, but like a more lighter version of Gin and Juice. Um, yeah, that does, it kind of it reminds me of that, but it just reminds me of Gin and Juice, but back in the 70s. It just has that vibe to it, and that's what I got from that joint right there. Pretty dope party track right there. Kind of like a laid back joint right there. Really lounging type of feel. All right. Track 12, G's and Hustlers, featuring Nancy Fletcher. The song starts off with, it starts off in the classroom, and you got, the teacher asking the kids, what they want to be like when they grow up. Like, one said I want to be a policeman, one wants to be a firefighter, and whatever. One want to be an astronaut. The typical questions that teachers ask little kids when they're growing up and shit. And then the little kid, who I believe is Little Bow Wow, says, "I want to be a motherfucking hustler." And then the song starts off, and then just it's pretty much like a gangster track right there. It's just it's just him paying homage to like a dedication to all the hustlers and the gangsters out there and stuff like that. That's for them, pretty much. That was an okay track. It was alright. And the last track is Pump Pump, which is my favorite song. Like, one of my all-time favorite Dr. Dre songs. Like, anytime I hear that song, it just, the beat itself is just like, when I hear the song and you hear like Snoop Dogg rapping, like, he just goes off in that track. Like, he really goes in on that shit right there. He definitely shine in that joint right there. And that song features Little Malik of Illegal fame with Little Jamal. And Little Malik is actually Snoop Dogg's cousin, which I didn't know until like a couple years ago. Excuse me, sorry about that. That was my phone. Yeah, so which was until I found out until like a couple years ago. And like I said, that song just gets me hyped, yo. It's like, how some of these kids have turn up music, or this song that gets you hyped. Well, that's one of those songs. Like, oh my god, that song, like, that beat is just so sinister, man. And Snoop Dogg, he just goes in. He's just so lyrical. His flow, everything about that shit right there is pretty dope right there. All right. And to me, that was like the best way to end the album. It just goes in. Love that joint right there. All right. And my overall thoughts of this album: highly recommended. This is a classic album. Even if you don't like West Coast hip hop, this is a must-have in your collection. It's so ill. I think it went 4 times platinum. It received 5 mics, so that tells you something right there. You know what I mean? When G-Funk music was G-Funk music, like, when you think of G-Funk music, this album definitely has to be mentioned in that conversation, man. I mean, pretty dope. Unfortunately and fortunately, this is not the 1993 OG first pressing. And the reason why I say that is because this is a 2001 version. And if you notice, it has like the enhanced copy, the enhanced CD. This is an enhanced CD. It has like the what's my name video, like when you put in your computer. But obviously, it's not gonna work on here because you have to have like a Windows 98 desktop or Windows 95 for it to work. So that's the only way you can only have it. Or if you have like Windows 2000 or whatever, like those kind of computers, then it will work. You know what I mean? That's the only way it'll work. But that's one way you can tell this is the reissue. But also, there was a song that was left off called G's Up and Hoes Down, which didn't make the album. Well, it didn't make the second pressing because of sample clearances. So if you got the OG pressing from '93, keep that, because that's a collector's item. So highly recommend you keeping that. But I said fortunately also because this, like, the original pressing has 19 tracks, and the majority of them are skits, which are featured on like the skits, like I said, that were featured on the album, were featured with the songs. It's not spread out. It's going within the song, so it's like it's kind of flowing. You know, the way it flows is pretty dope. So, you know what I mean. But yeah, man, overall very dope. This is Snoop Dogg in his prime years, in my opinion. Dr. Dre in his prime years as far as production. I mean, everything about this album is just so fucking dope, man. I fucking love that album. It's a classic. Highly recommend. It's one of my favorite West Coast albums of all time. Everything about it is dope. Like, well, besides some of the songs I could have done without, like, um, you know, For All My Niggas and G's and Hustlers, I could have done without. But I mean, but they're not too bad. They're not the best songs, but they serve its purpose within the album, man. But overall, classic album, love it. Where Snoop Dogg will get back to this sound, Dr. Dre too. I know people can say, well, you gotta evolve. But what's the difference if you're talking about the same shit? So might as well have better production. That's how I see it. So, and that's it, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. Stay tuned for more. Peace.